Have you ever really stopped to think about the machine you're living in right now, your own body? I mean, it is without a doubt the most complex, the most sophisticated piece of engineering on the entire planet. So today, let's pop the hood and take a look at how this incredible thing is actually put together.
Just think about it. Your body is like this buzzing metropolis with 11 different yet totally interconnected systems, all running at once. You've got the cardiovascular system acting as the plumbing, the nervous system as the electrical grid, and they all work together in perfect harmony. It is mind-blowing. So that brings up the big question, right? How is this amazing structure even built, and how on earth does it all work together without everything just short-circuiting?
Well, to really get it, you have to think like an architect and an engineer. Imagine your body is a giant skyscraper. To understand it, you'd need two things, right? First, the blueprint, a detailed plan of every single part. And second, you'd need the operating manual for how the electricity, the plumbing, and the elevators all work. And believe it or not, that's pretty much exactly how scientists study the human body.
And those two approaches have names. On one hand, you have anatomy. That's our blueprint. It answers the simple question, what are all the parts? It's all about the physical structures. Then, on the other hand, you've got physiology. That's the power grid. Physiology tackles the how. How do all those parts actually work and function together? And here's the kicker. You absolutely cannot understand one without the other. They're two sides of the same coin.
Okay, so let's stick with our skyscraper analogy. If anatomy is the blueprint for the building, and physiology is the power grid that makes it run, what about the actual building materials? What are the individual bricks that make this whole thing stand up?
That question leads us right here, to the levels of organization. We're about to deconstruct the human body, starting from that single, tiny brick, and see how it builds up, layer by layer, into, well, into you.
And here it is, the cell. This is ground zero, the starting point for literally everything. It is the smallest functional unit of any living thing. Every single part of you, your brain, your bones, the tip of your nose, it all started out as one of these microscopic little powerhouses.
And this is where the magic of scaling up really happens. You see, similar cells group together to form tissues. Then, different tissues combine to create organs, like your heart or your lungs. Those organs then team up to work together in systems, like the digestive system. And finally, all 11 of those systems join forces to create the complete human body. You. It's an incredible assembly line. This is such a great visual of that entire journey, isn't it? From one tiny cell, you build up to tissues, then organs, then entire systems, until you have a fully functioning person. It's just an incredibly elegant and logical design. So, to really understand our skyscraper, we've got to start by looking at its core structure.
So now that we've got the big picture, let's zoom in on one of those 11 systems. We're going to start with the skyscraper steel frame itself, the skeletal system.
206. Any guesses what that number represents? That's the number of bones in a typical adult human skeleton. And what's really wild is that when you're born, you actually have around 270 bones, but a lot of them fuse together as you grow up. Just imagine that. 206 individual pieces, all fitting together perfectly to form one solid, functional structure.
And its job is beyond crucial. You know, the skeletal system is way more than just a frame to hang things on. It provides our structure. It's literally what holds us up against gravity. It's also a shield protecting our most delicate organs. And it serves as the anchor point for our muscles, which allows us to make every single move. It is the ultimate multitasker.
Now, to make sense of all 206 bones, scientists break the skeleton down into two main parts. First, you've got the axial skeleton. Think of this as the central support column of our skyscraper, the very core. And second, there's the appendicular skeleton. That's basically everything that hangs off, or appends, to that central column. We're talking your arms, your legs, all that good stuff.
So for the rest of our time here, we're going to focus on that first part, the axial skeleton. This is the body's central pillar, the absolute core of our steel frame.
And here, you can see it beautifully isolated on the left. It's made up of the skull, the spine, and the ribcage. It creates this critical line right down the middle of your body. It gives us our core stability and acts like a protective case for the really important stuff, the brain, the spinal cord, and all the vital organs in your chest.
So, out of our grand total of 206 bones, how many make up this central column? The answer is 80. 80 distinct bones are dedicated to forming just the axial skeleton. So let's do a quick breakdown of where they all are.
Let's start right at the top, with the skull.
Now, it feels like one solid piece, doesn't it? But it's actually an intricate jigsaw puzzle made up of 22 separate bones, all locked together to protect your brain and shape your face.
Okay, moving down to the torso, we have the spine, which is made of 26 different bones called vertebrae. That combines with the 25 bones that make up your rib cage and sternum. Together, they form this amazing, flexible cage for your heart and lungs.
And finally, to get us to that magic number of 80, there are 7 small but incredibly important associated bones in your head. This includes the 3 tiniest bones in your body, which are deep inside your ear, and the hyoid bone in your throat. The main takeaway here is that these 80 bones form the rock-solid foundation that everything else is built upon.
Which leaves us with one final thought to chew on. We've talked about the blueprint versus the power grid. We've seen how a single cell builds an entire system. And we've just examined the body's steel frame. So the big question is, if the skeleton is just the frame, how do the other 10 systems, the muscles, the nerves, the blood vessels, how do they all plug in and work together to turn this static structure into a living, breathing, thinking, functioning skyscraper?